What's going on, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Horror Nights Express. In this episode, we're going to be talking about Horror Nights Etiquette. Now, as I was browsing around the interwebs looking for different topics to talk about on this channel, specifically geared towards Horror Nights, I noticed that there wasn't a whole lot of videos out there talking about, the way some people should act when going to Halloween Horror Nights. And yes, it's a very fun event, and I encourage you to have all the fun that you can, but within reason. And there have been times where I've gone and I've seen people misbehaving and acting really, really badly at the event, and I've seen people get kicked out because of some of the things that they did. So in this video, we're going to be going over, how you should basically act and things that you probably shouldn't do when you're at the event. So with that being said, let's get started. So the very first thing that I want to cover is, I've heard, before that people going into this event, they were like, oh man, Halloween Horror Nights is so cool. They can get right up in your face and they can put their hands on you and such. And I was like, no, they can't. They can't touch you and you can't touch them. It works both ways between scare actor and guest. Yes, you are, paying to get scared. And they will get very close to you. They will get, very close to your face. And they will, get as close to you as they possibly can without touching you. There is no such thing as a personal space bubble at Halloween Horror Nights. The scare actors are trained and are told to get as close to you as possible without touching you to get the scare. They will run up to your face. They will come up from behind you and whisper in your ear. They will do anything they can possible to scare you. And likewise, you cannot touch them. If a scare actor was to come up and scare you, you cannot backhand them. You can't punch them. Also, you might not be hitting them, but if you're running up to them and you're like putting your arms around them, or you're like putting your hands on them in any sort of way, whether you're like coming up and giving them a hug, or patting them on the back or something, just don't do it. Because that could be misinterpreted as something else easily amongst scare actors, and it's very touchy, for lack of better terms. I don't care if, you say that, oh, I'm sorry I hit you, it was a reaction. You can't do that. Like, if you know that if you get scared, you're gonna start swinging and kicking, Halloween Horror Nights probably isn't the event for you. You probably shouldn't be going to the event in general if you know for sure that your automatic reaction to getting scared is to flail your arms and to possibly kick someone that's on the ground at ground level. It's just not a good time, and it is grounds to get you ejected from the event without refund. Now, a few years back, I used to be a scare actor. I worked at Busch Gardens Hallow Scream for 1 year, back in 2013, right after I graduated high school. It's something that I always wanted to do, and after I turned 18, I applied and I got in. And it was one of the most fun experiences that I'll ever have. Will I do it again? Maybe in the future, if I get the chance to. But one thing that I noticed a lot is that people get angry at some scare actors when they get scared. Like, you pay so much money to come into the event knowing darn well that you're going to get scared, and they get mad at you for scaring them. Like, I've had some ladies go off on me and some men go off on me for trying to scare them, and I'm just sitting there like, why? Like, you paid to get in here and get scared. Don't get mad at me for doing my job and for giving you what you paid for. And that, I'm pretty sure I'm not the only one who's experienced this. I'm sure a lot of scare actors can vouch for this in saying that there are people that do that. They come into Halloween Horror Nights or Hallow Scream and they get upset when they get scared. I just don't get it. Now, it's a general rule of thumb. Most of us, I should say, are instructed from birth to treat people how you would want to be treated. You know, you're taught it in preschool, and, you know, they instill, you know, this message in you throughout your whole life, basically. Your parents should tell you, your teachers should tell you, all the grown-ups around you should tell you from birth until now, you know, treat people how you would want to be treated. I can't tell you how many times I've seen people at Halloween Horror Nights or Howl-O-Scream insulting the scare actors. Like, don't insult them. Don't comment on their size, whether they're big or small or tall or short. Don't belittle them. Don't, you know, comment on their skin tone or, you know, how they're doing or what particularly they have to do. I mean, yeah, there are some positions in Halloween Horror Nights or Howl-O-Scream that aren't the most flattering and are not the most desirable positions. You know, there have been a few times where I had to play a victim in Howl-O-Scream, and I didn't want to play a victim. I wanted to be the one out there scaring people. Instead, I had to run around being chased by some guy with a noose that wanted to put a noose around my neck. You know, I had to, you know, run around and pretend to be scared, and, you know, I already know I'm not the smallest guy in the world. I'm pretty big, and, you know, people like to comment, especially on the larger scare actors. You know, people will go after them more, and it's just the way society works. You know, God forbid you're a person of larger size, people are going to comment on it, and it seems to be, you know, more rampant at Halloween Horror Nights or at Howl-O-Scream. You know, I've been insulted before, you know, running through a scare zone, whether I was being a victim or whether I was playing a zombie. You know, people will go ahead and comment on the size of the person that's trying to scare them. You know, anything for that matter. Just don't insult or belittle the scare actors. You end up making yourself look like a giant. And believe it or not, when we get back to the break room, we're going to be commenting on how you looked. Just saying. This next one kind of goes hand in hand with insulting the scare actors. Don't harass them. If you are going into Halloween Horror Nights or Howl-O-Scream and you're wanting to follow around scare actors and, you know, keep messing with them, whether or not you're touching them or you just, you know, keep hanging around them, and, you know, they're trying to do their job, they're trying to keep their patterns, they're trying to, you know, do what they need to do to scare other people. We don't need you behind us, you know, following us around, being up our butts, you know, trying to get our attention. We don't want that. Don't harass the scare actors. You know, if you want to take a picture with a scare actor, that's fine. Just come up to them and ask them. I've had plenty of people want to come up and take pictures with me. I'm more than happy to take a picture with you if you're wanting to take a picture with a zombie. But if they don't want to take a picture, respect their decision. If you're wanting to come up to a scare actor and be all like,
"Oh my god, selfie!"
you know, you just can't do that. You know, they might not want to take a picture with you. You might come up and take them by surprise. And, you know, if they want to, you know, take a picture with you, that's perfectly fine. Just don't use a flash. I mean, if it's completely dark, you know, and you can't see anything, if there's no flash, then just ask them. You know, they'll shake their head or something, and, you know, they'll motion for you whether it's okay or not. Don't harass them. If they don't want to take a picture with you, don't pursue it. And especially if they don't want to take a picture with you, don't go back to insulting them and, you know, get upset with them for not wanting to take a picture with you. There's 100 other scare actors at the event who are more than likely willing and able to take a picture with you. So just move on if that one particular person doesn't want to take a picture with you. There is one particular thing that is probably the most annoying thing you can possibly do to a scare actor, and that is trying to scare them. You're paying to go to Halloween Horror Nights for you to get scared, not for the scare actors to get scared. Believe it or not, a lot of people try and come up and scare the scare actors. And it's not funny. You end up making yourself look like an idiot. Whether you're trying to be cool in front of your friends, you're trying to be that guy who's, trying to be funny and gets a scare actor to jump or something, it's not funny. You look like an idiot, and more than likely, we're going to remember that, and we are going to talk about you backstage and say how much of an idiot you were. And then if you come back in the scare zone later, more than likely we will remember you, and we're not going to give you the time of day. We're not going to try and scare you. We're not going to give you any attention at all. I can't tell you how many times I've had, someone come up to me behind my back and try and scare me, or whether I'm going in trying to scare someone else, they'll run up in front of me and they'll try and get up in my face. And at that point, I need to avoid touching them because I'm trying to dart one way to scare someone and they're trying to come around me. I have to not be able to touch them. If I bump into someone on accident, I'll quickly say I'm sorry. I'll break character and I'll say I'm sorry if I accidentally bump into you. But I will never intentionally put my hands on you, and neither will any of the other scare actors. So if you're trying to get a scare actor upset, then go ahead and try and scare them. But it's not recommended, and you definitely should not do that. Another thing that I should mention is that whether or not you're in a house or a scare zone, there will be managers and, stage managers around to, monitor the situation and monitor the scare zone and the house. And especially at Halloween Horror Nights, you have employees who are stationed throughout the house in different corners, and you'll see them periodically throughout the house. They're just standing there making sure that the guest flow is nice and even, and making sure that everyone's doing what they're supposed to be doing. If you see someone who's trying to harass a scare actor, or who's trying to scare a scare actor, or who's someone who's acting like they shouldn't be acting in the house, be sure to let them know, and they can go ahead and handle that appropriately. And same goes for scare actors. If you're seeing a scare actor that's putting their hands on someone, or who's doing something they probably shouldn't be doing, then feel free to let a manager or a stage manager know, and they will deal with it accordingly. Don't take it into your own hands to correct the matter. Now, not only do you have to think about the scare actors that are around you, you also have to think about your fellow guests who are trying to experience the event as well and are trying to have a good time, whether it be by themselves or as a group, There's going to be other people there, and most of the time it's going to be a lot of people who are also there with you trying to experience that event. Halloween Horror Nights is probably the most popular Halloween event in all of Florida. And it's going to get crowded. The lines are going to be long. You can see lines reaching anywhere between an hour to 3 hours. It's happened, and it will continue to happen. It'll probably get worse every year. Do not cut in line. Holy crap, I cannot stress this enough. Do not cut in line. People will fight you. I don't care if, you're trying to be discreet about it. I don't care if you're saying, oh, my group's up there. Stay with your group and don't leave your group. Stay in line and just be respectful. Think about yourself and others. Because if you're caught cutting in line for no reason and you're just trying to be a douche, then more than likely you will be found by security and you will be escorted from the park without refund. I've seen on a number of occasions fights breaking out in line because of people trying to cut. And it's understandable if you had to, use the bathroom, if you needed a potty break. 9 times out of 10, the queues at Halloween Horror Nights or Halloween will have a few porta potties right there next to the line. So be sure to let the people who are directly behind you or in front of you and around you know, hey, I'm going to use the bathroom real quick. These are my folks. I'll be right back. If you see me coming this way, that's fine. Let everyone else around you know. Don't just try and, bob and weave under the ropes to try and get yourself to the front of the line because you don't feel like waiting. If you don't feel like waiting at Halloween Horror Nights, then go ahead, bust out the extra money, and get an express pass. So that way you don't have to wait. Alright guys, well, I know this video has gone on for quite a while, and I've hit you with a lot of information and a lot of, things that you shouldn't do at Halloween Horror Nights or at Howl-O-Scream, but there's one last thing that I want to tell you, and it's one of the most important things that, you need to take care of when attending one of these events. Drink responsibly. Halloween Horror Nights and Howl-O-Scream are not dry events. They serve alcohol and they sell a lot of it. Whether it be, the little blinky cups that you get, or whether it be Jello shots. People will be walking around with alcohol. Believe me, I know. You are the only person who knows your limits. By all means, go ahead and drink. Have a good time. Don't have so much that you're going to be an issue. The number one problem for these events is that people drink so much that they lose themselves and they can't handle it and they can't have a good time. A lot of these issues that I, told you guys about, whether it be, the guests misbehaving around a scare actor or causing issues or cutting in line, comes down to drinking 9 times out of 10. They have so much alcohol in their system that they can't function. And you're going to wake up the next day not remembering what the heck happened. And, you will be escorted out of the park if you've had too much to drink and you are causing an issue. Personally, my opinion, I would love to see Halloween Horror Nights and Howl-O-Scream be a dry event. And if you want to drink beforehand, by all means, go ahead. Get yourself hammered beforehand. Just not inside the park. By having the drinks inside the park, it just, opens it up for way more issues. And I feel like Halloween Horror Nights and Howl-O-Scream would be able to do so much more cool stuff if we didn't have all the drunk people around. And, for scare actors, sometimes drunk people can be, the most fun to scare. But at what cost? There are certain things that Halloween Horror Nights and Howl-O-Scream can't do because there are so many drunk people around that, we need to take them into consideration and how stupid they are going to act. So, the drinking thing, by all means, do it. Just please, for the love of all that is good and holy, do it responsibly. Alright guys, well I think that is going to do it for this video. If I missed anything, be sure to leave a comment down below with some pet peeves that you might have about Halloween Horror Nights or Howl-O-Scream that you've seen people doing. Be sure to, leave all that information down below. And maybe I'll make a part 2 to this if I find out any more of your pet peeves that you might have, and I'll go ahead and cover it in another video. So with that, I am off, and I will see you guys in the next video.